Growing up within the Christian faith, every unexplainable part of life, from the vastness of space and the mysteries of our universe to the complexities of illnesses and the inevitability of death, was all attributed to the greatness and omnipotence of God. I remember one Sunday sermon in particular where the pastor was showing us a beautiful 3D animation of the galaxy and the universe beyond, backed up by a soundtrack that sounded something like Hans Zimmer's Interstellar. It was presented as evidence of God's artistry and demonstration of his magnificence. Everyone in the audience, myself included, was in complete awe of this. This message and others like it aim to underscore the concept of intelligent design, suggesting that God's divine hand was at play in every mysterious or intricate part of our universe. But what if there's a more logical, scientifically grounded explanation for this phenomena? Today, we're diving deep into science, philosophy, and history to uncover why God is not the all-encompassing explanation we were led to believe, and how modern discoveries should have us questioning ancient beliefs. Hey everyone, I'm Lane, and I'm thrilled to have you here with me today. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell icon. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming up next. The progress of science, especially in the last few centuries, has absolutely revolutionized and altered our perception of the universe and our role within it. From the vast expanses of space to the intricate workings of DNA, scientific discoveries have peeled back the layers of mystery that once clouded our understanding of the world. Where once thunder was a god's wrath and diseases were curses, we now see that the world is filled with natural processes, governed by physics and biology. So we're going to look at some key areas where our perspectives have evolved over time: astronomy, cosmology, and the understanding of the universe. The Bible attributes the creation of the universe to God. Genesis 1 describes the process as, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth," and then details the sequential days of creation, including the creation of light, land, sea, and life. While these religious texts provided early explanations for the origins of our universe, the development of modern cosmology has introduced a different perspective based on scientific evidence. The Big Bang Theory is an absolute cornerstone of modern cosmology, offering a scientific explanation for the universe's origin. It proposes that the universe began as a singular, infinitely dense point approximately 13.8 billion years ago, which then rapidly expanded and continues to expand right this very second. This theory is supported by observable evidence, such as the cosmic microwave background radiation, which is seen as a remnant of the early universe. This transition from divine to scientific explanations of the universe's origin is the significant aspect of the broader shift from mythological to empirical understanding and human knowledge. It underscores how our perception of the universe evolves as we develop new methods and tools to explore and understand the world around us. A long time ago, the night sky and celestial bodies like the sun, moon, and planets were often imbued with divine qualities, and their movements were believed to be controlled by the gods, or were gods themselves. The Egyptians revered the sun as the sun god Ra. Ra was seen as the king of the gods and the creator of all life. The Egyptians believed that Ra traveled across the sky in his sunboat, and that it was a daily battle with forces of chaos and darkness. In Greek mythology, the sun was personified as the god Helios, who drove his chariot across the sky each day. And in Norse mythology, the sun and moon were chased across the sky by wolves. For the Aztecs, the sun god was Huitzilopochtli, who required human sacrifice to continue his journey across the sky. In Hinduism, the sun is worshipped as Surya, a god who rides a chariot across the sky. Does anyone see the common theme of chariots here? In all these cultures, celestial phenomena such as eclipses, comets, and meteor showers were often seen as warnings or direct communications from above. This worldview was not just because of religious belief, but it was a way for people to make sense of the natural world in the absence of modern scientific knowledge. But from the works of astronomers like Copernicus, Galileo, and Kepler, we were able to learn that these celestial bodies followed natural laws, not supernatural. The Copernican revolution, for instance, replaced the Earth-centered geocentric view of the universe with a sun-centered heliocentric one. And this alone drastically changed humanity's perspective on its place in the universe. Biology and the diversity of life. The diversity of life across the world was also seen as a product of divine creation, with species being believed to be unchanged and individually crafted. But Charles Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection completely changed this and provided a naturalist explanation for the diversity and complexity of life on this earth. This challenged and continues to challenge the traditional view of species being individually designed by a divine creator. The fossil record, which is essentially a chronological record of fossils found from earlier geological periods, provides a chronological account of life on Earth, revealing a pattern of gradual change in species over time. One key feature of the fossil record is the presence of transitional fossils. These fossils represent intermediate forms linking different groups of organisms together. A prime example is the Archaeopteryx, which bridges the evolutionary gap between dinosaurs and birds. This particular fossil shows characteristics in both groups, providing clear evidence of how new species can evolve from pre-existing ones. Modern genetics has uncovered striking similarities of the DNA in different species. For instance, and this is going to be controversial, but just let me explain. Humans share about 98% of their genetic material with chimpanzees. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but it's important to understand what this 98% similarity actually means. While it highlights our close genetic relationship with chimpanzees, it doesn't imply that humans are almost monkeys or that the 2% difference is insignificant. This 2% encompasses a huge number of genetic variations that contribute to the huge difference between the two species, including aspects of brain development, speech, and even posture. And this genetic similarity doesn't dictate our behavior, culture, or individuality just as humans. It just reflects evolutionary connections and common ancestries in the huge family tree of life. Evolution can be a taboo word, but I think that understanding this can really help us appreciate the complexity of evolutionary process without oversimplifying it. But evolution is not just a theory of the past. Today, we can observe evolution happening in real time, such as bacteria developing resistance to antibiotics or insects evolving resistance to pesticides. These are direct observations of natural selection driving evolutionary change. Darwin's theory not only challenged the traditional view of immutable species, but also laid the foundation for modern biological science, reshaping our understanding of life itself. Before researching this video, I had no idea what an Archaeopteryx was, but it looked a lot similar to my Arcteryx bag, and I looked over at it and I was like, yeah, it all makes sense now. Geology and the age of the Earth. The pre-scientific view, and many views held by Christians, are interpretations that the Earth is relatively young, with its formation and geological features attributed to supernatural events, like the flood. But developments in geology, particularly the work of scientists like James Hutton and Charles Lyell, demonstrated that the Earth was much older than previously thought. Their studies showed us that geological formations were the result of natural processes occurring over vast periods of time. But despite these findings, there's still a huge segment of the population, particularly the young Earth creationists, who are skeptical or outright dismissive of this evidence. This resistance on their part is held by deeply held religious beliefs and interpretations of the Bible. And while respecting these perspectives, it's important to recognize that the scientific method relies on observable, testable evidence. In the case of the Earth's age, a wide array of geological, biological, and astronomical evidence consistently supports an ancient Earth. This includes radiometric dating and rocks of fossils and the geological strata and the observed rate of continental drift, like Antarctica. Recognizing this divergence in views is crucial to understanding the ongoing dialogue between science and certain religious beliefs. I think this highlights the challenge of reconciling scientific evidence with deeply held convictions. Physics and the laws of nature. Natural phenomena like lightning and earthquakes were once seen as manifestations of gods or supernatural forces. In the Bible, for example, lightning is frequently depicted as a tool of divine power. In Exodus chapter 19, verses 16 through 17, the event at Mount Sinai is accompanied by thunder and lightning, signifying God's presence and power. Other verses depict lightning in the context of divine intervention. In Exodus chapter 9, verse 23, God sends thunder, hail, and fire to earth, a display of power during the plagues of Egypt. Job 36, verses 30 through 33, portrays God as spreading lightning around him and using it to judge people. Psalm 78, verse 48, metaphorically attributes bolts of lightning to God's control over nature. Psalm 135, verse 7, describes God as the one who makes lightning for the rain, showering sovereignty over natural phenomena. But the development of physics brought a different understanding. Through the formulation of laws like Newton's laws of motion and Einstein's theory of relativity, we now understand that natural phenomena like lightning follow predictable patterns and can be explained naturally. Now we know that it's a result of static electricity in the atmosphere. Unlike ancient beliefs like the Bible, attributing it to divine actions, science shows us that lightning, like all other natural phenomena, follows the laws of nature. Medicine and human health. Diseases, disorders, and even death were frequently seen in the Bible as punishments from God or the result of supernatural forces. Leviticus 26, verses 14 through 16. The Lord said, "If you will not obey my commands, you will be punished. If you refuse to obey my laws and commands and break the covenant I have made with you, I will punish you. I will bring disaster upon you, incurable diseases and fevers that will make you blind and cause your life to waste away." Despite that verse in Leviticus, modern medical science has expanded our knowledge and understanding of diseases and their causes. The discovery of germs fundamentally changed how we view diseases. It showed us that many illnesses are caused by bacteria, viruses, and other microorganisms, not supernatural forces. This understanding led to groundbreaking developments like vaccines, which protect the body against diseases by preparing the body's immune system. Also, antibiotics, which treat bacterial infections. These scientific advancements provided natural explanations for the spread and treatment of diseases, shifting the focus from divine intervention to observable and testable causes. I think that this shift from supernatural to natural explanations is a testament of human curiosity and the power of scientific inquiry, and a great example of how our understanding of the world evolves with new discoveries and knowledge. Mental health. There are so many parts of the Bible that talk about people being possessed by spirits or demons. Mark chapter 9, verses 17 through 27 talks about a boy who's possessed by a spirit. The boy is described as mute, with the spirit causing him to experience convulsions and other physical symptoms. The passage suggests that the boy's condition, which today might be interpreted as a neurological or psychological disorder, was attributed to demonic possession. Matthew 17, verses 14 through 18 is another account of a boy described as a lunatic, experiencing harmful behaviors like falling into water and fire. In this story, he's cured by Jesus, who rebukes a demon out of him. Passages like these reflect the historical perspective that mental health issues were often seen through in this biblical or supernatural lens, particularly in the context of demon possession. This contrasts with the modern scientific understanding of mental health, where psychological, biological, and environmental factors are recognized as contributing to mental health conditions. Research has shown that many mental health conditions have a biological basis. Chemical imbalances in the brain, genetic factors, and neurological abnormalities can all contribute to disorders like depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and even addiction. Advances in neuroimaging technology, such as the EEG or fMRI, have allowed scientists to observe how these conditions affect brain activity and structure. Other psychological theories, like cognitive behavioral theory, CBT, emphasize the role of individual thought patterns and behaviors in mental health. Theories like these propose that disorders can come from dysfunctional thinking, learned behaviors, and coping mechanisms. Psychological interventions like therapy, which I totally recommend, are designed to address these aspects of one's mind, and often with significant success. Environmental influences and the impact of life experiences like trauma, stress, and upbringing also have a well-documented effect on mental health. Negative childhood experiences, for example, have been linked to a higher risk in mental health issues later in life. Lots of mental health professionals are now using biopsychosocial models, which integrate biological, psychological, and social factors to better understand and treat mental disorders. This approach recognizes the complexity of mental health and takes into account the various influences that can cause these conditions. These naturalistic explanations underscore the shift from supernatural interpretations of mental health issues to a more nuanced, multidimensional understanding that considers a wide range of biological, psychological, and social factors. This transition has been pivotal in improving mental health care and reducing stigma associated with mental health conditions. Despite these advancements in understanding mental health, there's still a huge issue of access to this knowledge and appropriate care for many people in the world. There's still a long way to go, and this topic is near and dear to my heart, so I'm definitely going to be making another video on this entirely. So I hope you can see how these scientific advancements have provided natural explanations for phenomena that were once understood solely in terms of divine intervention. This shift from supernatural to naturalistic explanations hasn't just revolutionized our understanding of the universe, but it's also influenced philosophical and theological perspectives on humanity, contributing to the rise of secularism and rationalism in the modern world. But I think we still have a long way to go in our quest for truth and understanding of the world that we live in. There's still so many unanswered questions, so I think it's important to think critically and question everything. Regardless of your beliefs, we share this world together, so having mutual respect and compassion for one another is key to this coexistence. Respect doesn't necessarily mean agreeing with all beliefs, obviously, but acknowledging the right of others to hold different views, even though you may really disagree. Whether you're a believer, a non believer, or just don't know yet, I would encourage you to explore and question what you do believe, because this self reflection can really lead to a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Just remember to have an open mind. So let's continue this journey together of challenging what we know and what we don't as we discover new perspectives and deeper truths on feeling freaky.